We would pass over the bridge and you would just see this building just reflecting the sun and the water, and it was just absolutely beautiful. It's just an icon and a symbol.
It's one of the biggest buildings that you see in Lake Charles, so when you see it, it gives a city appearance.
There was always this direct connection between the city of Lake Charles's skyline and the Capital One Tower.
In downtown Lake Charles, just experienced that eye wall moving through, said winds probably gusting to 130.
Every now and then I'll just look out the window and I see the Capital One building, and it looks like Swiss cheese. I'll look out the window and say, my God, is this real? Is this really happening?
Lake Charles is full of history, and that is definitely history right there. And now it's going to come down like that.
We are less than 30 minutes away from watching the Lake Charles skyline change. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a special edition of 7 News Sunrise covering the implosion of the Capital One Tower. Thank you for joining us. I'm John Bridges.
And I'm Rhonda Kitchens. This morning, we've got crews stationed around the lake area to get as many angles as possible. We've got a team on the 8th floor of the Parish Building on Lakeshore Drive.
Another crew on a sheriff's office boat in the waters of Lake Charles, and we also have a team in the media staging area near the events center here in downtown Lake Charles. We also have a live view from KPLC's very own roof, our new roof here in downtown Lake Charles. Additionally, we'll have a bird's eye view of the implosion. Porsche Aerial will be live streaming from its drone as the tower drops this morning about 8 o'clock.
First, let's head over to Devin DeStefano, who's at the Lake Charles Event Center at the official media staging area. Devin, how are things going at the command center?
Yeah, Rhonda, like you said, I am on the ground near the event center. Capital One behind me, of course. We got plenty of people you can't see coming up to the barricade ahead. You got all these people here at command center over Lake Charles Fire Department. They're all excited for this big day. It's a big moment in Lake Charles history. Before all this, I got the chances to speak with the people about how much this means and how early they woke up to see this big moment.
Well, it's been here, and we used to go to dinner in that restaurant years and years ago, have conventions in that building, and I just thought it would be something interesting to see a part of history.
Just a little piece of history, man, you know, kind of sad to see it go. It's exciting to watch, but just kind of depressing, you know.
I'm excited about it. This is something that I haven't seen before, and I think this is something the first time that the state had to offer.
Yep, you guys heard it. People are ready for this moment in history. It might be sad, happy for some. I'll be hanging out here for a while, getting ready for the implosion. Rhonda and John, I'm going to send it back to you in the studio.
Yeah, and we've been hearing it too all week. That's all everybody's talking about is their memories from the Capital One Tower.
A lot of memories in that building, definitely.
And earlier this week, we caught up with the contractor tasked with demolishing the Capital One Tower.
Here's more on how the implosion this morning will work.
How did y'all get this contract, and what is your experience with this?
So we have bid this building several times over the last few years, and back in March and April, the owner was really trying to finalize a number for this, and so we submitted some pricing, and then over the next couple of weeks we negotiated with the owner and finally came to a price that we could all live with, and so they awarded us the contract in early May, and here we are.
And you said y'all have some history in bringing down buildings.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we do large demolitions all over Texas and Louisiana, Arkansas. I've been with the company 8 years. This is my third implosion. My first one was actually just down here in Sulphur, Louisiana. It was at a mill building at a Rain Coke plant. And so we did that one back in 2018, and then I've done one since then in Dallas, and so this will be my third one, and we're excited.
Wonderful. Now everybody's excited about this morning, about what's going to happen on this very morning, but a lot of work has gone in before we get to this point.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like I said, we started back in May. We did asbestos abatement, universal waste removal, all the mercury thermostats, smoke detectors, things like that. Then our guys spent about 2 months gutting the building out of all the interior finishes. And then we did several modifications to the interior of the structure to be able to make sure that when the implosion crews arrived to load explosives this week, that their job would just be to go in and load the explosives. That's literally all they had to do this week. So there's been a lot of preparation. Our guys have worked very hard. We were on a tight schedule, but our team worked together and we got it done.
And you were talking about all the things that you had to take out, and you just told me a funny story about someone. Everybody has touched this building at one point or another in the lake area.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was just talking to a guy last night that it's the first time I ever met him, and he actually has history in this building. He put some of the very things in there that we had to take out. So it's just funny. Everybody that we talked to in this area has been inside this building. They worked in this building. Their dad worked in this building, something like that. So we know that that's a big piece of history for y'all.
And y'all know that a lot of people are going to be out here for this event. We were talking earlier. Everybody videoing and everything, that should not hurt your communication problems with your team, correct?
Oh, no, absolutely not. I mean, everybody's welcome to video it on their phone as long as they're outside that exclusion zone that's been posted on y'all's websites and on the city's website. As long as they're outside that red exclusion zone, they are welcome to film and post on Facebook and tag us if they want to. So we're happy to let y'all do that.
Now let's get to the process of what exactly is going to happen. What do we have ready to go up there?
So it's just going to be a matter of making sure that no one is outside in the exclusion zone. No one's out on a balcony, no one's on top of a building, no one's outside, things of that nature. Once we've secured that, as close to 8 o'clock as possible, we're going to mash the button, and then the building will be on the ground in less than 30 seconds.
Okay, and so what is that? Who presses that button and who makes the call? How's that countdown work?
So CDI, our subcontractor, again, they're the blasting contractor. They will be doing the countdown. They'll say, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire, and then they'll mash the button and down it comes.
Pretty interesting process that they've gone through to prepare the building for demolition today. Of course, part of keeping everyone safe during the implosion is setting up that perimeter around the tower.
Law enforcement has closed roads throughout downtown from Price Street down Ryan to Pujo Street and through the Event Center parking lot. Now, the exclusion zone is closed to both vehicle and pedestrian traffic.
I noticed today coming into work, as it's still dark, but a lot of folks were lining up there along the North Beach, getting their positions down, and of course they'll be shutting down Interstate 10. So
actually, there was a lot of work already going on in downtown yesterday. It was interesting to watch.
Getting their spot early.
Well, the western boundary of the exclusion zone falls in Lake Charles, the actual body of water.
And that's where we find KPLC's Stephanie Obadiku this morning with more about today's marine traffic on the lake. Stephanie?
All right. Well, good morning, Rhonda and John. This is an exciting morning for everyone out here. There are so many people just walking around and sitting on the side of the marina, but we are now joined with Captain Ron Johnson. Captain Johnson, can you tell us a little bit about what's going on today?
Well, they're going to do the implosion of the building, of course. We're out here to help create this security zone that's established by the United States Coast Guard in conjunction with all the guys on the roads, Sheriff's Office, Marshal's Office, and City Police that are keeping the roads safe to try to keep people out of the exclusion zone. That way no one gets hurt. We want it to be an uneventful event where the building falls down and no one gets hurt.
Of course, because we already saw this morning, when we were coming in, there was so many LCPDs, Sheriff's Office, everyone was getting ready to block everything off. And so when we got out here, at first I was like, oh, maybe there might not be a lot of people. But if we look to the left of us, there are so many boats out here. So why do you think so many people are out here to see this right here?
This is historic. A lot of people saw this building when it was being built in the early 80s. And now they get to see it come down, and curiosity about what might be built there in the future. So.
Of course. And so for anybody that, didn't know that they could come out here, what were some of the perimeters that you guys blocked off?
We have all four corners marked off, and we have our patrol boats along with the United States Coast Guard keeping this line safe. This is the exclusion zone that was determined by the Coast Guard to be the minimum distance that you could be from the building with safety to prevent anything from the building coming that could possibly hit you. So this is the line over here you'll see all the boats. Everybody's doing a great job of honoring it, staying out so they can get a good view and film and have a good day.
Yeah, because, it is a very monumental day, and it's an exciting day, to say the least. So I'm happy that people are out here safe and, in the proper zones, and we're out here protecting everybody to watch this monumental day. Well, I'll check back in with you guys in just a little bit. Stephanie Obadiku, live in the water, 7 News.
And she is vested up and ready to go.
That's safe.
Thanks, Stephanie. Well, the time is 7:41. In just minutes, contractors will give the command and will watch the tower fall. Though most recently it was the Capital One Tower. The building had several names over its lifespan.
It housed a lot of businesses and offices of elected officials, even offered an elegant venue and restaurant, the City Club, there on top, where many celebrated special occasions. KPLC's Teresa Schmidt has a look back at the building's history.
Believe it or not, I remember when they started building the Calcasieu Marine Tower. It was an exciting time, and one you just knew was going to be a new beginning for Lake Charles. The tower was a dream of the Lawton family, built by F. Miller Construction Company. Joe Miller Jr.'s dad was president of the company. So why did the Lawtons build it?
Because they could. I just respected that family and loved that they had a willingness to put that as the star of downtown Lake Charles. However, beginning, it was an official mud pit.
He was a surveyor.
And when you're trying to do surveying with tape and string and stakes, it was the old-fashioned way, but we were able to achieve it through all that mud. I think it turned out pretty perfectly.
Biller says the project was a joint venture between his dad's company and a friend of theirs.
George Miner of Houston, Texas, had his own construction company there. We both built heavy construction type jobs. So we decided to do a joint venture, and these two friends got to do a project together for the first time in their lives.
He says F. Miller provided the labor and the construction, and Minor Dietrich handled the accounting and administration. In 1981, construction cost $40 million. Miller says it would be at least 8 times the cost if built again today. The concrete structures that first went up were the elevator shafts. Joe Sr. had a motto:
make sure the people are pleased when you leave the door or when you hand over the keys.
And Miller says it was great for the area.
I think it was a star-studded show that I was unfortunately missing because I was at college at the time, which I want to say was 83. It put Lake Charles on the map. It secured a lot of businesses coming in. They filled up that business pretty quickly. Had a wonderful restaurant up top and an event place, City Club. Yes, yes.
He says no way did anyone ever imagine this.
If we were maybe a little bit larger city, somebody probably could have come in and taken that over. It's still a sound building. The glass, unfortunately, let everything down. I'd mentioned at one time that glass was hurricane proof up to a point. 3 hours of over 100-mile-an-hour winds. I'm thinking one snapped, and then all of a sudden it turned into popcorn, and they all just started popping.
What do you think your dad would say about all this?
He just said old man boss, old school boss, that would have told him, no, here's what you can do with this building, watch. He just had ideas about construction, that he had a foresight that he put into some of the jobs.
Yet he chalks it up to a simple monetary thing.
Without a buyer, they were left with no resort. There's always the hope of replacing it with something bigger and better. That corner can provide a huge economic impact for Lake Charles. And let's hope the right investor comes along, and I hope the city entertains inviting those types of people and not letting it become a park with swings.
Another who cherishes happy memories from the tower is Pam Magoo, whose dad, Leo, was bank president at the time.
So he helped oversee the construction and then moved into the building as the first president of the bank. So it was pretty cool. That was, especially since he was able to give some input on everything going with the architect and with Mr. Lawton, Mr. Bill Lawton and Mr. Jack Lawton.
She says it was an exciting time.
Just the amazement that we were going to have a really tall building, and it was supposed to be blue glass, but it ended up the glass that came in was green. But nevertheless, that we were going to have a glass building in downtown Lake Charles.
It was only the second building she had seen with an escalator.
But I remember going in and, kind of looking around and how, going up the escalator, because the only escalator in Lake Charles prior to that was Muller's. And going into the lobby, and it seemed so huge and it was so modern. The whole building was just so modern for the time.
When Magoo looks at the building or pictures, she can't help but think of loved ones who are gone.
I'm very proud of my dad. He was something else. And the demolition is necessary, but when I look at that building, I see my dad and I see my sister. That's the last place they worked.
She'll always remember the view.
The view from any point in that building was perfect. You could see all of Lake Charles.
A marketing brochure from the time shows the tower as it was, vibrant and filled with activity.
The new building, the glass building, you could see out, they couldn't see in.
She knows if her dad was here, he'd agree it's time to let the building go.
He would be the first one to say, take it down. It's become a blight to the city, and it needs to come down. If they're not going to go ahead and start refurbishing it now, then it needs to go.
It will be emotional, but Magoo will watch the implosion with an eye to the future.
I hope that there are other people that have the same, in years to come, have the same vision to make Lake Charles more than what it is, that my dad and his co-workers and the owners of Calcasieu Marine had at the time, in that they see the beauty and the good in this area and help it grow and sustain and just bring more economic development, bring more businesses in, bring more to Southwest Louisiana.
It's going to take some time to get used to Lake Charles' new skyline, but many hope it will pave the way to a great future filled with possibilities. Teresa Schmidt, 7 News.
Teresa and I, of course, covered the groundbreaking together. She was in television, I was in radio back then, and I always remembered it was pouring down rain that day, so Calcasieu Marine dumped a load of sand underneath the covered area of the Civic Center, and they held the groundbreaking underneath the Civic Center with the site in the background. I thought that was kind of unusual, but boy, that was a big time back then. All the banks were putting up their buildings along the lakefront, and Calcasieu Marine came up with their big tower, and the oil business was booming here in Southwest Louisiana, so it was quite an effort to get that skyline the way it looked a few years ago.
I remember riding with my parents from Sulphur to Lake Charles, and you'd be on top of the bridge and you'd see all the big towers, and it was like I was coming to the big city.
Right. There used to be, Lawrence Manuel was a building manager at one time of the CM Tower, and he would turn on the lights around the top just for 7 News sunrise so we could show the building on our Skycam when it was dark, early in the morning, and we appreciated that.
Absolutely.
As well. A lot of memories in that building. Well, when it was first announced that the tower was coming down, many wondered if there was ever an effort to save that building. This week I got the chance to talk with Lake Charles Mayor Nick Hunter about that.
The City of Lake Charles and my administration met with multiple developers who were talking about renovating the tower. We wanted nothing more than to see the tower renovated. I'm an optimist, and I believe that public and private partnerships can accomplish great things. I'm also a realist, and so one of the things that we were concerned about is, should this day come where the building would need to be demolished, we wanted to make sure that there were private funds set aside to do that. So I'm very proud of the fact that my administration did intervene and allow for an agreement where private funds were set aside from the insurance settlement for this demolition. And if we hadn't done that, there's a very real possibility that the entirety of this operation could have fallen onto taxpayers. So I am proud of my team for the work that happened there. Also, if I had a magic wand and could change the macroeconomic climate of the United States of America and these tall office buildings and how the market is reacting to them across the country, I would have used that wand here in Lake Charles. If I had a magic wand and could go back in time and ask the architect to alter perhaps the way that this building was designed with as many windows as it was, I would do that. If I could go back in time and have Hurricane Laura never have hit Lake Charles, I would have done that. However, we are living in the world that we're living in today, and we don't necessarily choose the circumstances around us, they're presented to us. And I can very confidently say that placed with all of the factors placed before us, the City of Lake Charles and my administration made certain decisions which would ensure that that building was given every feasible, humanly possible shot of being redeveloped, and if it didn't happen, that there was an option B, so that we would not have to sit and stare at this building in its blighted state for a number of years. I'll call out just a few examples of other buildings nationally, on a national level, that are experiencing similar challenges. One very close to home is the Plaza Tower in New Orleans, a building that has sat almost untouched since Hurricane Katrina. Today, the cost to demolish that building will be more expensive than what the dirt is worth. So it's an incredibly cumbersome and difficult situation for the City of New Orleans and the private property owners. Recently, a building in Houston, 801 Travis Street, was, I think, reduced to 50% of its valuation from just a few years ago. And another example is the AT&T Tower in St. Louis, a building which recently sold for $3 million years ago had sold for $120 million. And these are real numbers. So all of this combined presented the scenario where it was really a tall task to renovate this structure. And, you know, I'm not speaking out of turn by saying this. You can Google other issues that are surrounding the owner of this building. So I am very proud of my team's involvement in this, and it is bittersweet that the building's coming down, but it's a better option than letting it sit there in perpetuity and blight, and that is something that we would simply not allow to have happen.
Mayor Nick Hunter, he reminds everyone that the City of Lake Charles doesn't own the property at 1 Lakeshore Drive. It is still owned by the Hertz Corporation.
That's right. It's coming up on 7:54 now. We are getting close, and we've got crews stationed all across the lake area to give you every angle possible.
You can see the different camera angles. We've got the KPLC rooftop here at 320 Division Street on top of our new studios, and the Calcasieu District Attorney's Office. That's 901 Lakeshore Drive. Oddly enough, that used to be Louisiana Savings Association, one of the bank buildings that popped up in Lake Charles. We're going to watch the Calcasieu Marine building go down. We also have another shot at the Lake Charles Events Center. That's where the contractors are monitoring the situation, and also the media is stationed there in the south parking lot, kind of south of Rosa Hart Theater. And then there's the shot from the boat,
yes,
which is really a nice shot. A lot of folks there on the North Beach are seeing that angle.
And there are a lot of boats out there this morning, everybody waiting to see history in the making right here.
Somebody said it kind of looks like contraband days of old, whenever everybody used to go out on the lake there. The tower, of course, is coming down at 8 o'clock, about 5 minutes away, and it's bittersweet, as the mayor said, while some are hopeful of what's next for downtown Lake Charles, and they're glad to see the blighted structure gone.
Others see this as a great loss for the area. KPLC's Carla Castillo spoke to a longtime resident who shared his experience of building the tower 4 decades ago.
Lake Charles is full of history, and that is definitely history right there. And now it's going to come down like that.
Charles Manuel has been recording the Capital One Tower every day since demolition began. As part of the first group of iron workers to construct the tower, he's sad about watching it come down.
In 1981, working out of the Iron Workers Local 678, I was told by my superintendent we brought a rig over here, a 4100, broken down to the butt section, walked it over, just some green grass out there, and then, you know, we had no clue what kind of building we were fixing to build. We just knew a bank We didn't realize a tower like that in Lake Charles. It was pretty awesome.
When asked what he remembers most, he says there was a moment where everyone felt time stop.
We were on this job on that side doing the atrium, which is where the actual bank was, the day Ronald Reagan got shot. I just remember that being a big deal. The whole job just kind of temporarily shut down.
Manuel describes the tower as iconic, saying he can't imagine anything taking its place.
It's a real community that come together and built that out of all the local unions and everybody that was here. Everybody worked great together. Lifelong friendships that are still going on today.
In Lake Charles, Carla Castillo, 7 News.
And if you're just joining us this morning, welcome to our special report of the Capital One Tower implosion. The time now is 7:56.
And we're expecting the tower to come down in just a few minutes. 8 o'clock is what we were told, and we'll wait for the countdown to begin. Of course, the Capital One Tower, the Hibernia Bank Tower, the CM Tower is what was originally built there, has stood above downtown Lake Charles for more than 40 years, and it's coming down this morning. We have different views again to show you from all of downtown Lake Charles. There's an exclusion zone that has been formed around number 1 Lakeshore Drive, and that's going to keep everybody out of the area. I think, Rhonda, you were saying they were more concerned about the sound,
right,
more than any dust or anything like that.
There are apparently rules and legislation against having that amount of sound for that time. It will damage ears, so that's what they did the exclusion zone for, was to protect you.
Right.
And I think we're going to head back out to Devin DeStefano at the event center, see what's going on there. Devin?
2 minutes left.
Yeah, Ronna, John, just a couple of minutes away from the implosion we've been talking about for, it seems, weeks, months, if not longer than that. We got plenty of people behind, or actually in front of me, standing up against the barricade. We're just minutes away, starting to hear sirens away from the fire truck. I think that's them alerting that we're just 2 minutes away from the demolition. I'll keep you guys updated when the implosion occurs. I'm going to send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, if you are just now joining us, we are about to begin. The 2-minute countdown has begun already, and we're waiting to join KPLC TV, Channel 7 here, and we will be getting to that. If you'll just give us a few seconds, we're going to join together the two broadcasts. We've been online for the last 30 minutes, obviously, and we will be on the air here shortly on Channel 7. Looking at 7:58:55, so we're less than a minute away.
That's right. Let's go ahead and join our programming.
This is a special report from KPLC 7 at your service. We're bringing you live the implosion of the Capital One building here in downtown Lake Charles.
That's right, and I understand we are around a minute now, and that building will be coming down. We're going to get several views of that. We have got crews set up across Lake Charles to give you every angle possible.
Folks have turned out since early this morning to get their best shot of the building. Of course, it's kind of like the fireworks, I guess. You know, there's boats out on the water. Of course, the Coast Guard and the Sheriff's Department Marine Division are taking care of that. This is our view from the KPLC studios on the roof there as we're approaching 15 seconds until 8 o'clock, and that's when we're expected to see the tower come down.
Devin is telling us we've got about 1 minute here, so I'm guessing that's been pushed back just a few seconds, so we are waiting, but get your last view of this building, folks, because after 40 years, this is our last chance to see it.
Amazing. A lot of memories. It is bittersweet. You hate to overuse that word, but a lot of people have plenty of memories of the CM Towers, what I still call it, 40 plus years later.
Wow, it makes your heart pound to see that.
Over 40 years, we've seen the Capital One Tower on the Lake Charles skyline, and now it is gone with a lot of smoke
That's right.
Dust in the air. Of course, the winds were out of the northwest this morning. When we first came in, as that cold front moved through, you can see the different angles that we're seeing. This one from the KPLC roof. Cloud cover, of course, still hadn't cleared out from the front. Look at this shot.
Yes.
This must be from the contractors area, the Civic Center.
I'm guessing the event center is what that looks like. Yes, a lot of smoke in this area.
Rhonda, when I stepped outside the studio earlier, I saw they were spraying, hosing down the debris area to try to keep the dust down. And look at this. This is just a dark cloud. It'd be interesting to step outside on Division Street and see what we can see. This is from the 901 Lakeshore Drive angle. We could see the Chase building barely on the right-hand side.
You know, when I was out there yesterday, there's a huge water tank they're using to wash these things down. And I see this is the Porsche
drone
aerial shot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Look at that.
Wow. It's just so unbelievable. In just seconds, that building is gone.
We're going to let you kind of absorb all of this, and of course days of cleanup here in the area. The whole debris field was supposed to fall right in on the building circumference area there. So they were expecting, I think, a 3 to 4 story high
debris pile.
Yeah, and so they'll have to clean that up over the next couple of days. Look at all the boats out on Lake Charles.
Wow, yes. Actually, they told me yesterday it's going to take a few months to get all of that cleaned up. They have equipment in place ready to start that work immediately, but it's going to take a while to get all that debris out of there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where the all of this dust cloud will go. Again, the winds were out of the northwest this morning as that cold front moved through, so not sure if we've got dust outside the station here. I tell you what, I'm going to walk.
You go ahead and walk
outside, and I'll tell you what I see.
Okay. And you can just see, you can see from the boats how the smoke is over the lake right now, and there is a ton of boats out there.
Let's go to KPLC's Devin DeStefano, who is out at the Lake Charles Event Center. And Devin, what's going on out there? How are people?
Yeah, Rhonda, John, in a matter of seconds, you see this building come down, debris just pushed all over here. Some came into my face. There are people that you just see this huge dust cloud basically come over. Now everybody has exited the area. Still a few people lingering around, but it was certainly a sight to see, and something that once was the Lake Charles skyline is now no longer there. As you can see, it's going to be something strange to see as you come into Lake Charles. Rhonda, John, it was really awesome to see. Nothing like I've ever experienced. I'm going to send it back to you in the studio.
I can tell why they were so concerned about the noise. We could hear it inside of our studio. It was incredible.
Here in the newsroom, the glass was rumbling. You could definitely hear it ahead of time. Of course, there's a delay in it going out on the air, and we knew it was going right when it happened because we could hear it just outside. We're only a block or two away from the actual site there, the KPLC newsroom. So pretty interesting. And as you can see, the contractor crew is heading toward that site. Stephanie Obadiku was out on the lake this morning in a boat with Ron Johnson, sheriff's deputy, and of course was very safe out there. Stephanie, what did you see?
I don't care where you sit.
I can't even really talk. That was one of the most monumental things I've ever saw. As soon as we saw the fire shoot up, we were like, everybody got ready. So that was, the smoke is still in the air. It's already, you can just see how it's gone completely, and now the smoke is traveling this way. Now we're joined again with Captain Ron Johnson just to talk a little bit about safety and what people can do now that the building is down and how they're going to be able to get back.
One, have patience. It's going to take them a while to clear all the roads and get all that stuff done. But the boat's going back. Please use caution. There's a lot of boats coming to the boat launch at one time. Everybody's going to get there. Just take your time. Have patience with everybody. You're going to have some people back in trailers in the water. They're going to need help. Just have patience and let everybody do their thing, and have a great afternoon.
Of course, and I know that the bridge has been blocked off for a while. So when is that going to open back up?
The bridge, once they give an all clear for the roadway, they'll open it. The state police had that blocked out. Generally pretty quick because their primary concern was people stopping on the interstate creating a traffic hazard, and that's why they closed it.
Of course, and now if we look right over here, we can see that some of the boats are already getting ready to leave. So as soon as that implosion was done, so everybody's trying to get back now in a safe manner. But the sheriff's office is still out here making sure that everybody is getting back safely, and people are going back into their buildings after they watched what we can say is one of the most important days of history in Lake Charles. Now I'm going to send it back to you guys back in the studio.
Yeah, those folks are going home, going back to bed.
Yeah.
Gonna wake up a little bit later. Let's watch the replay of the implosion as it happened this morning, just after 8 o'clock here in downtown Lake Charles.
Wow. Just as incredible the second time. And I'm getting word from people on Houston River Road. They heard the rumble. They felt it all the way over there.
Crazy.
Just, yes.
Isn't that wild? But it did come down, just like they said it would. And so did a lot of the memories, but we'll still keep those. We've got plenty of pictures of a building over 40 years old. The skyline of Lake Charles will now change, and we'll see what happens in the future.
We're going to call this opportunity. It's opportunity for growth in the lake area.
And if we can just get a new bridge, we'll be happy. All
Wonder
right.
how the bridge is hanging over there.
You can continue to watch the replays of the implosion at kplctv.com, as well as our 7 News mobile app today, and be sure and share that.
For several years, my offices had been in the bottom floor of the Capital One Tower. We basically had the entire floor. I think one other lawyer maybe had a little spot on it. And so the morning, I guess it was the morning before, when we found out it was possible to be a Cat 5, everybody just jumped up and left. You go to your office and you move everything to the middle, and you take certain things that you hope are you can save, and then you get on out of harm's way. We got on out of town. We got out to West Texas, and I got it was a text or a phone call. It must have been early hours of the morning when the storm was hitting. And it was Cody Hurd, who's a mortgage broker here in town, and he said, turn on your TV wherever you are on the Weather Channel. And when I turned the TV on, is when I started seeing the windows on the first and second floor just started popping. I mean, it was just like exploding. And then you just saw things from your office just flying across that courtyard and towards the Civic Center. And you could see files and lamps and curtains, and just all this stuff that you'd worked so hard to have was being demolished in just a second. And so I literally just watched as my office was destroyed in real time on national television. It was sad, but at the time it was just, you were awestruck to see something so just so powerful from nature doing what it was doing. So you wasn't even trying to process it. You were just kind of awestruck watching it go down. So that's what happened the evening, the day the storm hit for us. I remember when this building was built, and it was overwhelming in 1980 or whatever it was. You were a little kid, and we were like, man, we're going to be like Houston with all these skyscrapers. We thought, had all these dreams. And then all these years later to have gone through this, and I hear people saying, oh, we're sad, we're going to lose it. I got to tell you, I'm not. What has been done has been done. As the Bible says, this too shall pass. The storm has passed, and it's time for rebirth. And if anybody's looking around Lake Charles right now, you see some rebirth happening. And I think this is only the logical next step, that we get rid of this, 1,000 sheets of plywood that we see 20 stories up, and we get ready for whatever the new, life is going to be for that location. I'm actually happy about it, because it's time to move on and have, the rebirth happen for downtown.
What do you hope goes there?
Everybody says that. I kind of laughed when I was looking at it. I think KPLC did a thing, what do you want to see built there? And you see all these comments, and of course all I'm thinking is, none of us have the money to build it, so I'm just going to be quiet on the issue. If I had $50 million, I got all kind of wonderful ideas I'd like to do there, but I just hope that it's tasteful, that it helps connect downtown. I hope that it helps, City Court here. We're literally right across the street from that location. I would love to see something that sort of connects our building with whatever becomes, the thing there, helping connect the Civic Center, kind of not making, it's the event center now, not making it feel like it's such a standalone operation, and just help connect Lake Charles even more downtown. That's my hope.
Lake Charles Attorney Ron Richard talking about the Capital One Tower, which went down about 11 minutes ago here in downtown Lake Charles. Let's watch again as it happened just after 8 o'clock.
We can play this over and over, and it's going to be as awesome every single time. And we're getting word from several areas of people who heard the explosion. Carlos heard it. South of I-210, a lot of people are saying we heard it.
Yeah, amazing. And of course you can watch it here over and over again, either on KPLC during our newscast or at KPLCTV.com. Over 40 years of history going down in just a matter of seconds, and there were thousands of people here in downtown Lake Charles watching it, not to mention those on the air. This is what's left. Is that amazing? This is from Porsche Brothers drone. That is shooting. What isn't that crazy? You can see where the atrium was at the bottom of your screen, the main tower right there, and then of course the north parking lot, and then the big lot just to the north of the tower that has never been developed. So there's no telling what could be located on that spot. Again, Lloyd Neighbors did the demolition. Porsche Aerial providing us those drone shots, and just an amazing thing to watch. I'm jealous that we were inside the building and not able to see it, but we had 6 different views. Here's another view from the drone this morning from Porsche Aerial. As you can see, boom, there it goes. Amazing.
And it didn't take long, just a few seconds, that building was down.
Yep, it sure was.
And we are hearing from people that they're sad. This was history that has gone down, but everybody's looking forward to seeing what comes next. It's an opportunity for Lake Charles to develop and grow.
And it may just be a grassy knoll for a while, but at least it's not a bunch of, as Ron Richard said, thousands of sheets of plywood.
And and we don't have to worry about that plywood flying if another storm would come our way. So it's good.
Well, we hope you've enjoyed watching Lake Charles history with us this morning. We'll have continued coverage and video of the tower at KPLCTV.com.
And tonight on 7 News Nightcast. Have a great day, everyone.